Hello!
Hello.
Welcome to another episode of CJ Discovery. Today we've decided to try to do something that Josh has been wanting to learn how to do for a while. This year we noticed one of the popular toys was the Loopdeloom. The regular price for this was $34.99 at Michael's. They had a 2-day sale this weekend for $19.99, so we got it on sale. I understand that you could buy multiple ones and hook them together and make wider projects and things like that. And that might be something that we're interested in if we like this. Okay, go ahead and start unboxing it. First of all, we have this little instruction booklet. It says that the loom is for 8+. Actually, it says that on the box too. It is a nice color instruction booklet. This is the actual loom. It is supposed to be 7 inches. If you wanted to do a project that was wider than 7 inches, then you need to get other looms to hook them together. Of course, you can make it as long as you want to make by just keep going. Okay, so it gives you these little pegs. There are 15 of them. They look like little hands. Now, it tells you when you first set it up, you've got this little thing that turns it back and forth. You need to push that to one side, and we're going to put the pegs in alternating directions. So one needs to go this way and one needs to go that way. The directions are very clear if you read them that that's what you're supposed to do. All right, we have got this set up now. They are going opposite directions like they're supposed to. This bar here moves those back and forth. And that's really the mechanics of how this loom works, is this back and forth. It's very important that the little hands are facing opposite directions. The instructions say that your first step is to figure out how long of the article that you want to make. And you need to cut your warf strings out. They need to be twice the length that you're going to make the project plus 12 inches. These are the warf strands. They are measured to be that length plus 12 inches. Now, putting them on is really easy. He is going to do it, but I'm going to start the first one. You need to fold it in half and find where the middle is, and it's going to slide right into these little hands there. Now, it's important to kind of try to make sure it's even so that when it dangles down, they dangle down the same length, because you measured this for how long you're going to want it. Obviously, you've got a little bit of give on there, but you want to make sure you can have the room to tie it off and everything at the end. So again, you just find the middle, and they go right into those little hands. I said they go right into the little hands. And it holds it like a little mouth there. There we go. And he is going to do the rest of them. There you go.
Turn it around?
Nope, you need to keep it facing the same direction. Okay, easy enough. He has these all on here. Now you want all the tails hanging off in the same direction in the back. Now this part is supposed to be fairly easy. It's just a matter of taking time. You need to leave a little bit of extra gap so that it hangs out on the end. And all you're supposed to do, let's see if I can do it first, is to put it down between. Now that's why they're facing different directions. We put it down like that. Leave that hanging off. We want to kind of keep track of this tail down here. And then all we're going to do is turn this, the dial on the back side here that I showed you before. Then you're going to bring this up, and you're just going to do the same thing again, pushing it down. What you want to make sure as you go, you need to look like you need to make sure that you're putting it on the back side of the hands that are facing towards you and pushing down that way.
Wait. Oh.
In there, would it snag on something?
No, it was on that side.
And then kind of pull it in. And then we're just going to turn it and repeat again. I'm going to do 2 more and then he's going to take over. So we're going to push it in. You're going to make sure they're all lined up kind of right before you push down. There you go. If you miss one, what you're going to end up with is a mistake in your weave. And then we're just going to go the other direction. Oh, I didn't turn them, did I? Did I turn them? I don't think I turned it. So your turn. Let's try to go back the other way. So it definitely seems to be a fairly easy process. You just have to make sure that you are turning the dial and that you don't forget to do that. I just noticed that it's facing the direction we're coming from, so we should have an easier time but it's not very difficult. He's doing it, actually seems like he's doing it easier than I did it. Then you're supposed to fill this all the way up, and then you can progress. We've done quite a bit here, so what we're going to do is we're going to do what we call advancing the weave so that we can move on and make it longer. You could fill it all the way up to the top and then do this, but we're going to do it at this point so that we can have some more looseness to this. Ultimately, the big concern is not breaking the pegs by pulling them in too tightly. This is probably the riskiest part of your weave. This part you need to be careful because you need to make sure these pegs end up facing the same direction they are when you start so that the loom continues normally. You need to, with the warp still attached, you're going to pull it up out of the woven part and push that part down and then stick it back into the board. It seems really simple. The biggest concern is that you not get the bottom part to start to unravel, and just be careful with the pegs that they go back in the way they are supposed to. So I'm going to go ahead and start here. Hopefully it's as easy as it looks.
Yeah,
We came toward ourselves rather than away from ourselves here.
Yeah, that's...
I think the biggest concern I have here is if you did not cut your strings long enough, then you might pull them up through the bottom here. Up at the top here, I've kind of got a mess going on here where they're not very straight. I tried to keep them straight. I don't know if I'm just not as capable as an 8-year-old. It is the first time. Maybe with a little practice it'll get a little easier. We're going to keep going and see what we can do from here. We've been at this for a while, and I have this here. For the sake of full disclosure, I want to say we realized at some point that you were supposed to double the string and add 12 inches. I blame him.
No!
So somebody failed in the doubling department and did not double. We were just really eager to get started, and we went ahead and did it. And I started noticing at some point that we were running out of string, and I'm like, this is not as long as it's supposed to be. So instead, we're just going to go with making the little pouch here. But the lesson I learned is that you definitely want to make your warps long enough, because what happened was when I pulled it out, twice it came out of the bottom. Now I fixed it by weaving it back through, but if these had been longer, that wouldn't have been such an issue. We're going to move forward here and take it off of here. So just like progressing the weave, what you're going to do is carefully pull these out one by one off of here. We're going to just take these off the hooks.
These? No.
Yeah, you can take these off. I would recommend being careful not to lose your ends when you do this, just in case you pull it through. Again, if unlike me, if you made it long enough, it probably won't be as much of a problem. So I'm going to cut this off from my ball of yarn. I'll leave a little extra string for myself. And then I'm going to untangle my mess. Let's move this all to the side. I can show. Here's what we're left with. It kind of almost resembles a pot holder. I am going to make it into... We realized we didn't make it long enough, but we are still going to make it into a bag.
Oh, could this actually be like a cup holder?
Like a cozy?
Yeah, like a cozy.
You could definitely do that. I don't know that it's wide enough. We haven't measured it for anything. What we have down here, this is one of my biggest concerns through the whole film. We left some of this on the end, but I only left to about here. In the process of weaving, I actually lost about 2 weaves. So you really need to be kind of careful on that and make sure that your weaving is not coming undone.
Should we knot it now?
Yeah, the first step we're going to do here is to knot these strings. So the way we're going to break this up is we're going to try 3 strands together. I'm going to tie this strand into the first strand here and tie that into the first fringe. So that one will actually have 4 strings including that one. And then we're going to go across and do 3 in each group. Okay, I've tied all the ends off. I forgot to say that you'll have the loops on the one side and you'll need to snip those to tie it. But we've tied all the ends off. Now, Our lesson is definitely extremely learned because by not making the strings long enough, it was kind of difficult to tie off the ends. This is definitely the messier side. So I want that to be the inside of my bag. I don't want it to show on the outside. So for what we're going to do, we're going to fold this in half and leave the messy side on the outside. Because I'm going to go down and I'm going to tie these fringes together, and then I'm going to sew one end of my bag closed with plastic needle. Where did you go? With my plastic needle, which was hiding. It's right here. I'm going to tie these together. There's the same amount of ties on each side, so we're going to match tie to tie. Again, having longer strings would be very helpful. This is a lot like what the hand warmers would be if we had made it a little wider. And if you see, the cool thing about this is that you can just put your thumb through and you would be able to get your hand in there. And then when you take it out, it all goes back. So you don't have to be real careful about where you put the thumb hole and all that measuring stuff. It's really kind of neat. All right, so I've threaded across there. And now I'm going to finish it off with a little knot here. So now, after my son's done making a mess, we're going to turn our bag inside out. Are you ready?
Yes.
Oh. Okay, so here's our first Loopdeloom project. Ta-da! It's a bag, sort of. Kind of looks like a little child's mitten. The fringe on the side could be tied a little better. It's sticking through there. It worked. I wish it was bigger. We were so hoping to make a little tablet case. Totally my fault. Totally my fault. And I feel like most of the problems with this were user errors more than anything else. So what do you think? Are you going to make something with this?
Yeah.
I do feel like, just being honest, there's people walking on our heads right now. Right up there. Stomp, stomp, stomp. Herd of elephants through the room. I definitely enjoyed this, and I am looking forward to doing something else on it. It's very easy to learn and get the hang of. I do have to be honest and say that it is somewhat limiting as far as its weaving. You're making a straight line. There are lots of things, they aren't kidding, there are dozens of things that you could do with it, but it is all the straight line, and you have the fringe on the end. And fringe on the end?
I never heard of that word.
Fringe on the end. You have the fringe on the end of here to tie off and deal with. You can tuck it in. There is a way to sew it in there and sew a stitch down the end. All in all, I think it's a cute little thing. I feel like the $34.99 price tag might be a little bit pricey for it, given that it's just a little gimmicky thing, especially when it is only 7 inches, and in order to make wide things like rugs and stuff, you're pretty much going to have to buy a second one and hook them together. And I think when you start talking about a kid's... Oh, I'm easily entertained. I think when you start talking about something for kids and something like this, the idea of putting out $60, $90, $120 is a little bit much. If these things were down at the $10, $15 range, it might be a little bit better. Still, all in all, it's a fun little gadget, very easy to use back and forth. Are we happy with it?
Yes.
I enjoyed this greatly. You enjoyed this? We will definitely do more projects later. If I get a chance before I put this video up to do another project on here, I might stick that in here too. This will get used more than just today, which I like. I like when we can keep this stuff and use it over and over again. We enjoyed this. I recommend you go out and try one of these for yourself. Thank you for joining us on this episode of CJ Discovery. Be sure to click that like button below if you enjoyed watching this, and click subscribe if you want to see more videos. We like doing this. We're putting these out every Saturday. Please be sure to leave a comment below. Tell us what you think. If you have any ideas, do you have any cool things that you can do with the Loopdeloom? Do you have any suggestions or comments or ideas that we can try? Maybe some kits that you've seen and you'd like us to try? If so, be sure to put those below. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for joining us. Go forth and discover. Bye! Hello. So I wanted to come back and put this in at the end of the vlog because I realized that the project that we made wasn't exactly the best representation of the Loopdeloom. So I wanted to show that later on, after we had gotten done, I tried another project all on my own. And I actually have it here and I wanted to show it to you. before concluding this video, because we really made that other one way too short, and it had just gotten to the point where he was over it and he wanted to be done, and I didn't want to start a whole new project all over again and try to reshoot the video. So I decided to go with the hand warmers, and I am still working on my second one. This is it right here that's on the loom. I've already progressed the weave one time. With the longer strings, it makes things a whole lot easier to progress it. And here is the finished one. I went ahead and left the fringe on the outside for now. You could actually put those inside if you don't like the way it looks, or you could fold them on the inside and snip them down really well. And as you can see, the weave is quite neat. The pattern's cool. I went with 2 different color thread this time and took the time to make it striped like that. I bet you can come up with even greater things. Go forth and discover. Bye.